welcome to the Let's Read portion of the show, where we take a moment to appreciate the literature of Skyrim. Today, we will be reading Songs of the Return, Volume 2, the first tale of the Daramzu. Our great Lord Yazgramor, the harbinger of us all, did then send forth his two beloved sons, with him the only other survivor of the brutalities of Sarthal, to seek out the bravest warriors of the land and mount the great return. Yungol and Yigar, they were called, and they were known among Atmora as fine warriors with bright eyes and dawning futures. Yungol, the elder, was the brave strategist, bringing his learning to bear on the battlefield that his enemies would be defeated before they even knew the battle had begun. Yelgar, the younger, was possessed of an unwavering spirit that drove his singular power to overwhelming feats in war. Together, the mind and the arm, they were capable of sowing a destruction most thorough and glorious to any foe who stood before them. Before they parted ways to gather their crews, the two clasped arms and necks in the old fashion and laughed at the heavens for their stories to come. Young Yagar then took to the massive shipyards of Jilgirfuk at the southern point and commissioned two ships for himself and his brother. He would command the Daramzu and his brother the Harak, thus carrying the names of the two favored stars of their heavens. The shipmakers' spirits had been suitably filled by Ysgramor's tales of the savage elves, and they set about to birth ships that befit their noble homeland. Arrangements have been made. Yilgar set forth to the academies of honored soldiers, seeking out his most trusted friends and advisors to join him on the venture of the return. By now the stories of the new land to the south were spreading before him, and the emergence of his presence was enough to cause the finest warriors to lay down their present undertakings and follow him. So he was able to call to his side the great shield sisters, Fro and Grosta, who thought and spoke as one, and they brought with her the wise war teacher Adrmuk, who first taught them to dance among the blades. She, in turn, mustered all the students at her command, whose names were not yet made, but some of whom would one day be known. Hermsesker, who threw his shield, Erlach, who breathed fire, Ramp the Greater, Merkelian Ramp, and the far-sighted Urch, who would see the first of many dawns. On the day of the final passage, when the many-ordered fleets would last see the distant green summers of Atmora, the brothers were near in their father's wake as the freshly joined 500 would eagerly press onward towards Tamriel. Yelgar could see his well-minded brother smiling from afar across the waves, and they shouted war cries to each other, longing for the soon day when their assembled crews would draw the treacherous elf blood into the ground which they would now claim for their own rights. But Kyan's ministrations are not to be taken lightly, and though her blessing gave wind to drive those brave sailors to their destiny, so too did her mighty tears fall to drive them apart. When the storm of separation first arose, young Yilgar had no fear, for his crew was strong and able, and their ship drove true through the forest of swells as though pulled by the rope of fate. When the skies cleared and Yilgar glimpsed again with new eyes the land of his past and future home, He knew his brother's vessel was not within his horizon. The Dharam Zu arrived late, drew forth onto the sand, and Yilgar rushed to his father to seek word of his brother. The great Yezgramor, harbinger of us all, wept for his lost son, and sought comfort in the arms of his only remaining joy. The crew of the Harak became the first deaths among the 500, and Yelfar was so enraged with love for his brother that his crew would soon be counted as the first among the many noble and honored names in the campaigns. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Shadow's Let's Read the Books of Skyrim.